This is Ray.
This is Andy.
This is FDS Local Sports.
What's up, Ray?
Andy, how's
Ray.
things going?
Things are going well, Ray. Things are going well.
You're not wearing your Mount A hat this week.
No, it's over there, and I just really didn't feel like going to get it.
Well, you might have hoped to put it on, but we'll talk about that later.
Well, I'll run and get it if I need to.
All right.
Yep.
Andy, we are, we're getting into the second half of the season.
Yep.
And every single game that we see taking place right now are important games as teams are starting to make their playoff push.
Yeah.
So let's get into talking some football.
Let's do it.
We're going to start off in the 12-man, I think it's A division, AAA. I don't know what the actual name of the division is.
Yeah. Division 1, 12,
Division 1?
12-man, I think.
All right, let's go Division 1.
Yeah.
All right, Division 1, 12-man, we had Leo Hayes at Tantramar, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And what a game this was. Tantramar, they own the Marsh. They own the Marsh, Andy, and they owned it on this day. They beat Leo Hayes 39-0.
There you go.
Jesse Esterbrooks, who's the now rookie quarterback, he goes 17 for 24, 160 yards, and 5 passing touchdowns.
There you go.
3 receiving touchdowns went to Riley Esterbrooks. Now, I haven't got confirmation that the two are related.
There's a lot of Esterbrooks in
watch
Sackville.
out for those Esterbrookes in Sackville. They're damn good football players. I'm going to talk about another one a little bit later.
Yep.
Conrad Allen and Ethan Cormier also pulled in receptions for touchdowns. Colby Tower, it's the first time I've heard this kid's name.
Yeah.
He ran in a touchdown as well. And Joe Carpenter was 2 for 5 on extra points.
Excellent.
There you go.
Right on.
Tantramar wins 39-0 over Leo Hayes. In the other 2 games, you had Fredericton High visiting St. John High. This must have been a tight game. I expected St. John to win this game, but FHS pulls out the victory on this one.
Wow.
10-9, Andy.
10-9.
10-9.
That's a hard fought.
That's a tough game. And in the other game here in Riverview, actually, you had Moncton High visiting Riverview High. Mm-hmm. That's always a classic matchup when these two teams take the field. And it was another doozy, I've been told. Jeannie B was there, and the Moncton High wins this game 17-7.
That was a bit of a shocker to our 3 analysts that do the predictions.
Yeah.
I was reading quite a bit of their reaction to that, so that was a shocker. Yeah.
All I can tell you is Jacob Scharnberg had a pancake in this game, and I was surprised he only had 1 because he normally has a plate of at least 5.
All right.
That's my nephew. I'm just digging him. Digging him a little bit.
Great joke, Ray. It landed. Right. You stuck the landing there.
All right. Do you want to go to 9-man or do you want to stick with Division 2?
Let's go Division 2.
All right, Division 2. St. Malachy's was down taking on Harrison Tremble here in Moncton. Harrison Tremble wins that game 34-7, Andy. Bernice McNaughton was also at home taking on Simons.
Yep.
They win that game 35-0.
Okay.
Our good friend Seth Foster was at the game.
Yeah.
Seth sent me some information. Trent Daigle had 2 rushing touchdowns. Brady Wood and Max Kirkert had TD catches. And Aiden Hogan for Bernice McNaughton had a interception, pick, and touchdown. So pick 6 for Aiden Hogan.
Awesome.
This was a big matchup. Big matchup here for Odyssey and the Casters.
Yes, I heard about this one. Wow.
Now, somehow, some way, I've written down the wrong score for Odyssey.
You clearly
And
did.
I'm not even wearing my Casters shirt right now.
All right.
Okay? But I know what the score is. It was 28-14 for Odyssey.
Yeah.
What a great game this must have been. All I can tell you is Sam LeBlanc from Odyssey, he had a 15-yard reception for a touchdown from Devin Niles. He was back playing for Odyssey. Yeah. Caleb Fulgarty, we talk about this kid all the time, 7-yard touchdown run. Devin Niles converted on a 2-point conversion attempt. And on the defensive side, Matt LeBlanc had a pick. Jordan Blacklock had a fumble recovery as well. So Odyssey and Casters, you knew that was going to be a good matchup.
Yep.
And don't be surprised if these two teams don't see each other again down the road.
Big matchup. Big win for Odyssey.
Big win.
Yep.
All right, Andy, wait to hear about this game. Ormucto was in town taking on Matthew Martin.
Yeah.
Okay. Jasmine Tardif.
Yeah.
He caused a safety late in the second quarter to get Matthew Martin the lead of 2-0 at halftime. In the third quarter, Jefferson Vernus returned a punt for 75 yards to the house for Matthew Martin. And Jeremy Hayes, on that touchdown, Andy, he added an extra point with a drop kick.
A drop kick.
Wow. Extra point. You don't see those too often.
You have to find that one on Huddle and show it to me.
I'm going to find it. Later in the fourth, Jefferson added a second touchdown. You know what? Philip Long, Coach Long, came out and said that his boys were ready. They scored in all aspects of the game, and Matthew Martin wins that game 15-0.
Great job.
Great job by Matthew Martin. I believe that's their first win of the year.
I believe so.
Yeah. In the last game of Division II, again, I'm just shocked every time I see these scores. KV at home against St. Stephen wins 48-0, Andy.
Wow. Yeah.
Just a couple things here. Offensive lineman number 66, Wilson Dupuis, had a 20-yard run on a Gardaruski.
Okay.
Do you know what Gardaruski is?
What is that?
That's where the ball is snapped, laying on the ground, and the guard will pick it up and swing around on the end usually.
I've never heard that term before.
Gardaruski,
all right.
Yep. Tim Crawford, the quarterback, passed for 195 yards, two rushes for 10 yards, 3 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. Jack Dupuis had 8 runs for 145 yards and a reception for 11 yards. On defense, Jake Lynch had 3.5 tackles, a QB sack, a strip and fumble recovery for a touchdown on the defensive side. There's a lot of stats here with a lot of guys. Ethan Ross, 4 tackles. Ben McCarthy, 4 tackles and a sack. Listen.
There's a lot of names here.
All I can tell you about KB, these guys came to play. Their defense had a huge game holding St. Stephen to 0 points.
Yep. Hats off to all of those guys.
That's your Division II wrap-up for the week, Andy.
All right, in the 9-man league, we saw some very one-sided scores, Ray, pretty much right across the board. We'll start out here. We had James M. Hill, and they were going and visiting Sussex. Sussex beat James M. Hill 27-0. I was talking to Coach Moore of GMH. The Tommies played really well defensively, and actually the Sonics gave them a bit of a shutout in terms of how well they played defensively, but they just could not get anything going on the offensive side. Will Woods of GMH and Owen Dunfield of Sussex shared player of the game honors on this one. So that goes to show how well they played on defense.
Great.
I've got some numbers here for Sussex. Anthony McLean had a rushing touchdown. Caleb Spence had 2 receiving touchdowns. Owen Dunfield had 3 touchdowns, 2 passing, and 1 pick 6, Ray.
Wow. So he's playing both sides of the ball.
Playing both sides and doing well. So next up was Hampton and in that last game, both Pistol Pete and Coach Zen called that game correctly, so they're doing pretty good. Hampton at Rothsay, another one-sided game. Rothsay wins this one 48-0.
Wow.
I've got a bit of like a wall of stats similar to what you just had, so I'll fire through these really quickly for Rothsay. Quinn LeBlanc, 3 rushing touchdowns. Ethan Finnegan had 3 passing touchdowns. Braden Stanley had 2 reception touchdowns. Connor Stites, 1 receiving touchdown and 1 rushing touchdown on defense. Jacob Asbridge had 12 tackles. Brady Corbett, 8 tackles and an interception. Joseph Duran, 8 tackles and a sack.
Wow.
So again, with a score like that, everybody performed. Well done, guys.
Quinn LeBlanc, we hear his name a lot. I'm looking forward to see that kid play some football.
All the time. And I've got some stats for MVHS, I believe. So MVHS was visiting Harborview. The Poulain fell to Harborview 38-8. The Harborview defense played really hard, according to Coach Peary. And also a big shout out to their number 24 running back. The Palermo were missing a lot of players in this. Pierce Sweeney, their best player, was missing. They had a couple of guys with illnesses, and their starting center didn't play. However, Coach Priest said there's no excuses, and they just didn't come out ready to play. The other team wanted it more. So next up for them, and of course JMH, is the Big River Bowl, that they're preparing for.
There you go.
Yep.
Well, this Thursday night in the Acadia Bowl, you have Odyssey taking on Matthew Martin. Both teams coming off a win, and yours truly is going to be the white hat in that game. I'm looking forward to working that game.
Awesome, and I'm sorry I shortchanged Harborview. I did have some stats for them. Mark Green, their quarterback, who was exceptional last week, was 6 for 11. He had 115 yards passing. Mitch Gautreau had 153 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. Sean Miller, 88 yards and 2 touchdowns. Mark Green, the quarterback, 62 yards on the ground and a touchdown. And huge receiving games from Sean Miller, Ethan Crowley, Mitch Gautreau. And shout out to the defenders, Lucas McCollum, Ryan Major, Josiah Sisko, Jack Fawcett, and Ethan Crowley. I'm sorry I can't name all your stats, guys. But you guys, I mean, it looks like if I add it up quickly in my head here, you guys combined for about 260 tackles. So 260 tackles. Well done. Well done.
You know what's funny, Andy, is in the past few weeks we've been talking about how close the games have been this year in all divisions. And other than the Tantramar game in Division 1, those scores are pretty close, but in the other divisions, there was a lot of lopsided scores this week.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Very lopsided.
It'll be really interesting to see how these teams respond this week. Again, the playoffs are right around the corner, and every single game is important now. You got to win those games. So before we get out of here, let's talk a little AUS football, Andy.
Let's do it. Do I need my hat? Because I never checked the scores at all this week. Do I need it?
You don't have it. You're not getting it. Let's talk about it. Mount A has a huge game. They're down at St. Mary's taking on the Huskies. And Mount A's in a situation, Andy, that they cannot lose if they want to make the semifinals for the AUS playoffs. They go down to St. Mary's in a game that was going to be very tough for them out of the gate.
Yep.
And David Patry, the quarterback for the Mounties.
Just switched to, yep.
Yep, they switched to him. He threw for 108 yards and an interception. But they have a running back there, Jack Estabrooks.
Yeah.
And this guy can pound the ball. He goes 188 yards with a touchdown, and the Mounties win 23-12 over the Huskies.
Wow, that's awesome.
They're still alive. They're still alive.
So that's 2-0 for Patry as the starter, and Estabrooks was I believe, AUS Player of the Week last week.
Yeah.
Looks like he's probably in contention for that again.
Well, I'm telling you, look out for those two. Now, Bishops was in visiting St. FX. This is also a big game for the Mounties. Right? And there was something I noticed right off the bat for the X-Men because I was working the game. Bailey Wasdale, our buddy, number 19, was not starting at quarterback. They were starting a kid named Quinn Stewart. He came out. He threw for 125 yards, touchdown, no interceptions. But Bishops wins this game 17-7 in a very tight matchup all game. Cold and rainy. I got to be right on the sideline, right in front of Coach Shashalachuk all night.
There you go.
And one of the biggest things that St. FX is struggling with this year is they don't have a running game. Okay. They miss number 34 in the backfield for them.
Yeah.
But it's great talking to him on the sideline. And, they're rebuilding now at this point. They're pretty well out of the playoffs at this point.
Yeah.
But they're rebuilding. This Quinn Stewart looked good. And if they can find some kind of running back to provide the magic like Shashalachuk, that's what they need to do.
And do you know why Bailey wasn't playing?
They just
giving the kid a chance.
Yeah. Poke Bailey for this Stewart kid to see what he could do for him.
Okay.
Big games coming up this weekend, Andy. On Friday night, I'm going to be down at Acadia as St. FX comes down to visit. It'll be interesting to see this game. Acadia has pretty well got the first seed wrapped up at this point.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see if they play their starters, how what happens in this game. But that should be a good football game. But then on Saturday, you got a big game as Bishops is traveling to New Brunswick to take on the Mounties.
Yep.
And the Mounties need to win this game, Andy, if they're going to have any shot at the playoffs in 2019.
Absolutely. They have to win out.
They got to win out.
They got to win out.
So that's going to be a great game. Get down the highway from Moncton, folks. It's only a 25-minute drive. And you're going to see a great football game there between the Gators and the Mounties.
And I will not be able to make it because I'll be trying to go up and make an appearance at the River Bowl. But if anybody wants tickets to go to that game at Mount A, hit me up.
I'll be coming back from Halifax, but I'm going to try to get to that game.
Well, my season tickets are available. I can save you $24, though something tells me you throw the ref shirt on and walk right in anyway. So, but if anybody else wants to save some money, reach out.
All right, guys. Listen, that's local sports for this week.
That's it. Take it easy, guys.
Have a great week. And listen, get out there and play some football.